Hello, 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 and welcome back to Soul Flow Conversations. I am your host, Dedrick, the Cookie Man, and this is your amazing co-host, Mrs. Fields. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. so tonight we're gonna be talking about various topics and stuff like that, various trending topics, and also some national news and all that good stuff. I know um, sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. so sometimes it's interesting to just talk about them and just kind of dissect some of the stuff that's going on. And sometimes you just really can't make any sense of it and whatnot. Once again, I'm your host, Dedrick, and this is my amazing co host, Miss Jessica Fields. Thank you guys for tuning in. And tonight, I was disturbed by something that I saw in the news where I was on TikTok, and on TikTok there was this young man in orange, and it said, "Do you know why this guy's dressed in orange?" And the lady went on to explain that this guy apparently SA'd a 3 month old and stuff like that. And and they gave the guy that was talking about it initially, he was like, yes, everybody needs to know his name. Everybody needs to know what's going on. People who've got people in the prison he's going to need to know what his name is, because when he goes in there, he shouldn't be shown any pity. And I agree. I absolutely 100% agree. Make his life hell on earth. But I don't know where the mental illness comes from. A matter of fact, the evil. I'm gonna say evil. I'm not even gonna put it on mental illness because it's just evil to do a child or anybody that way, especially a child and stuff like that. Like it's a 3 month old child. This child ain't even been in this world for 90 days, and you've already ruined this child. You've already ruined this child, and it's just like I just don't understand what's going on with people. Like, why would that even seem like a thing to do? You know what I'm saying? So this just really disturbed my spirit and my heart, because this child, she didn't do anything to nobody, and this is what you want to do. Uh, you,
Did the child die?
no, unfortunately, the child is going through a whole lot. The child's the ribs were broken.
Oh
You
God.
know, there's a lot of damage that was done and stuff like. It was a lot of stuff, and it I,
Was that the Hispanic couple?
no, it was a black guy.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it was a black guy. And whatnot, and I went to his TikTok because they put his name out there. They put his TikTok out there, and in the all through all the comments on all his videos, people are coming at him and stuff like that. But it was a black boy. He could be in his mid 20s, maybe. In his mid to I say mid 20s, maybe, and stuff like that. But it was crazy. And then there was the other case on the other side of the spectrum where the young man was found. Well, he was arrested for killing his daughter, but the problem was is that they were on the couch, or they were on, I think, either on the couch or anyway, he was laying in such a way because he didn't want. I think it was a couch. He was laying on the couch, and he suffocated her by accident, and because he, from what he said, he was trying to hold her securely so that she didn't roll off the couch, and I guess he fell asleep, and of course that weight kind of went on the baby and kind of suffocated her. And when he woke up, he found that she wasn't breathing. He called the cops immediately. They initially arrested him because they thought that he SA'd her, because there were a slight little tear or something on her backside, and whatnot. And um, what was it? There was another bruise someplace on her, but they all explained that when he got acquitted, because you're looking at the video, and he's he's destroyed. Like he's really distraught, and you can see it. And he's pleaded with the court and told him, "Look, I did not mean to do this." But after they did some more investigation, they found that she had diarrhea or something like that that caused that bruising back there and stuff like that. So their initial findings was reversed because everything had an explanation as to why those things were there, and they found him not guilty. But it just completely destroyed him. He just and of course he got a lot of heat because initially it's going to be the reaction that people are going to have. But he was exonerated. But it was just one of those things that he was like, I can't. He was literally talking about how he because he really didn't mean to do that, and his case wasn't the only one like that. You know what I'm saying? To where they accidentally suffocated the child, but and when you listen to what he was saying, it's possible because he was trying to protect the child, but ended up falling asleep. His weight shifted and suffocated her, and he really didn't mean to do anything to that baby. And he ended up, it was found that he did not, in fact, do anything to her outside of accidentally smothering her, and he was released and stuff like that. But I couldn't imagine the shoes he was in.
I had asked about the Hispanic couple because I watched something on Law and Crime earlier where there's a Hispanic couple, and I'm assuming that the child wasn't his, like that he met her with the child. Because they said boyfriend, and he kept saying how like he didn't want the baby because it wasn't theirs together. And like he was like literally abusing this baby. She had to be about the same age, like because in the pictures, like she was always sitting on someone's lap. She wasn't running around. And unfortunately that baby passed away due to his negligence. But the bad part about it was I didn't even watch the whole video. That's why I said I assume. I got so disgusted I had to stop watching it.
Right.
But the bad part was like the mother knew that this was going on. So much so that like it was reported that there was a doctor's appointment that she was supposed to take the daughter to, and she actually canceled it because she didn't want any suspicious red flags because I guess the baby had some bruising and stuff.
Wow.
So she deliberately canceled it to protect the boyfriend.
Wow.
And now I think he's being charged with first-degree murder, and she's being charged with third-degree murder, which I think it should both be the same because you were accomplice. You let it happen. You allowed it. And matter of fact, I made a statement on it. I said, well, didn't, like them, love them, hate them, I don't care. But didn't Trump just say, like, bring back the what penalty to those that harm children?
Yeah, man.
I'm with him on that one.
Absolutely.
That was unnecessary.
Absolutely.
And I'm saying for both of them because the mother knew about it. And I don't understand it. Like I don't even spank my kids. Like, so I can't even imagine doing those types of harm. But like you said, it just boils down to straight evil. You have to be evil for that. There's no mental illness. No, you're just evil.
Yeah, that's why I said that. I'm like, I can't even put it on mental illness because that's, what you're doing. You literally know what you're doing. And you still chose to hurt a child. And you still chose to do that. And that's that. And you have literally crippled that child for life.
Right.
That's crazy. And in some cases, you murdered a child, didn't even give it a chance at life.
Right.
And that's why I can't stand those stories where I hear give me a second. Let me turn that down. So it's so when the mom defends the boyfriend, when the girl child comes to her and say, hey, Bobby is touching me, or Bobby is sneaking in my room, and he's doing this and doing that, and you sitting there talking about, no, he wouldn't do that. Well, I can't believe. Well, you just hating because you don't have like what in what. I've heard all the explanations as to why some women do that, but that's just terrible. Like you need to look into what your daughter is saying to you. Like you gonna defend the boyfriend? What is wrong with you? I don't get it when I see mothers doing that. I can't even call them a mom.
I had a situation that happened. I don't mind sharing. It's so old, and I don't went to therapy. I'm good. Mm-hmm. It wasn't my mother. It was my aunt. And we had fallen on some, pretty hard times, and my aunt let us come stay with her. And her husband tried molesting me. Came in my room at night and start rubbing on me. And so what I did is I didn't want to make too much fuss. So I kind of pretended to wake up, you wake up. And he backed off a little bit, but then he tried again. So of course, once I popped up and he left the room, I went and told my mother. And then of course my mother confronted the aunt. And of course the aunt went to bat for him. Oh no, he wouldn't do that. And I can't believe that. As a matter of fact, y'all need to get out. Right? Not too long ago, this same aunt has reached out to me. He has since passed away. And she reached out to me on Facebook. And she was just talking in general. And I'm just like, yeah, I didn't forget none of that, but okay. And so, I don't know. I brought up the courage to say,
hi.
Hey, baby.
I'm trying to set up my camera, y'all. Give me a second.
It's right. Okay. I had to make sure my hair was good. So you good. You good.
I'm messing with OBS, so it's a little different. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. But at the end of the day, I mustered up the courage to say to her, I don't know what made me do it, but I said, I wasn't lying, right? And she said, I know. And when I tell you, this is like this year, at 47 years old. This happened when I was like 13. And she said, I know, I believe you. And that made me more angrier than I was back then, because that means you knew all this time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you still painted it out as me being the person that was lying. So it definitely happened. Yeah. And it's not always the mother. We always talk about the uncle that nobody, when he come to the barbecue, you be like, hey, get all the kids, bring them over here. Hey, y'all stay away from Uncle such and such. All right, I don't want y'all. Nope. But people sweep that under the rug, Mm-hmm. So it definitely happens. But it's even worse when, and I'm expressing my story for people to understand that it actually traumatizes you, because it's like, okay, I'm not making this up. I'm not lying. Right. And these people who are supposed to love me and supposed to be protecting me are the very ones that are saying that I'm lying. Right. And again, I didn't harbor feelings for decades or nothing. I went to therapy and stuff like that. And I learned how to cope with it, because you never forget it. So like, and I can't even imagine, like we were saying, a baby, because I mean, what memory do they really have? But it can still be internally damaging. I don't know. That's a good one I got to think about, because as children, as infants, we don't really remember stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, unless it's done some crucial damage,
Yeah. I mean, and that's the other side of it, though. That even like you just said, with the child being that young, I figure that child is going to have some kind of physical complications in their lives, and stuff like that, because they ain't meant to be. They're not meant to have that happen, or any kind of engagement like that. So when that child is young, and stuff like that, and and impressionable and stuff like that, that stuff can physically affect them. They don't know why. They're trying to figure out, okay, I don't know why this is happening for me. I don't know why, you know, and then come to find out they were SA'd, and it's just like, yo, you've really disrupted that child's life, because that child might not be able to have kids and stuff like that. That child may not be able to do normal things that she should be able to do, all because of that situation. Even though she doesn't, it's a vague memory. She doesn't understand it. She doesn't know what's going on. She doesn't know that it was a bad thing to have happen to her. And a lot of women, they go through that when they're young, and stuff like that. And you know, we have to take all those things seriously until proven not a real thing or whatever, because there are malicious children, young girls out there, and stuff like that. But that's far and few in between. I would rather believe the child before I sit there and say, "Oh no, you just making this up," because people's brains are freaking warped, and I don't understand it.
What is the topic, you guys?
Tonight we're doing some national news, kind of trending topics and stuff like that. I started off talking about the guy who essayed that 3-month-old child, and then he segued into the young man who actually accidentally smothered his daughter, because he was trying to, you know, he had her in such a way to where he didn't want her to roll off the couch.
Right.
And I guess he fell asleep. And you know, when you fall asleep, you kind of, you know, his body weight kind of smothered her. And when he woke up, you know, she was unresponsive, and he immediately called the police and the ambulance or whatever. And he was initially arrested because they suspected some things based off of their initial examination of the child, but they found that the child had diarrhea, and some stuff going on. The child had, you know, some different things that was going on that they were already taken care of, but that was what it was. It wasn't anything that he did. The only thing he did do was he accidentally smothered her. And you know, you could tell by how he was in court that wasn't something that was intentional, or he didn't mean to harm that child. He just fell asleep, and you know, and stuff like that. So, and then we were just not talking about that, and I was talking about how some women I've seen over the years, they're sitting there batting for the guy that's in the house, and not even believing the daughter. Like, he sneaks into my room, or he put his hand on me, or he made me feel, he did something inappropriate, and the woman is freaking sitting there about to bite the girl's head off, because how dare she blame this guy? Like, really? Why would she make that up? Like, that's not, what are you doing? I never understood that. I've heard explanations for it, but I never could wrap my brain around it.
I was watching this live. Right. Oh, first, before I give my explanation, where is this streaming to?
YouTube.
Can I get that link, brother? So I could share it on other platforms for you.
Okay, I thought I had that link linked up.
I know your second. You wanted to get on your secretary, cause
well, that's me. That would be me. That's me. Because
yeah, don't throw me in this. Hold on.
Yeah. Look, I'm trying to get.
I'm the marketing. I'm the marketing.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it together, because I'm still trying to move all this stuff over to the actual podcast YouTube channel, because I have a channel just for that. But right now it's on my other YouTube, and Lord. Anyway, but
it's okay as long as we got a link I could post up. We good, you know, because this is a part of cross promotion and marketing.
I got you.
All right, so I'm going to say there was a conversation about this on another person's channel, and they brought up why do women protect abusers, child abusers, and women abusers. Excuse me, because it's a belch that wants to come up. This not coming. So I said something along the lines of because my texting is bad, especially when I'm on a train, because it's just really bad. So I said something along the lines of, I think these women are predators. Okay. It's either two things. Either they were in that lifestyle themselves, or they are predators. You get what I'm saying? They was that child, so they got this extreme Stockholm syndrome going on, or because it's a flip side to every coin, you guys, YouTube. So, or they are predators themselves. So, to go down the psyche of what makes a woman a predator, I'm sure she was prey before she became predator. Same thing with men. Somehow, some way, they didn't just wake up that way. I'm sure something broke. I think that's a room for. Matter of fact, that's a job for a very, very high skilled psychologist. I don't think normal people should ponder their pretty little head of why. But to answer that question, I do think because they were predators or they were prey themselves.
Which makes perfect sense. A lot of people who are sexually assaulted, molested as children, they unfortunately, some of them see it as normal, because that's what they were taught. And so let's say, for example, there's somebody that's very close to you that is engaging in those activities with you. Not, I'll say 7 times out of 10, that person actually shows that person love, right? And I've researched this because I went to school for child psychology and behaviors. And what I found is more or less like, so the person that is committing that act is usually giving that child a lot of love. So they think it's normal for that kind of relationship to be happening, because that person may take them out for ice cream and may take them to the playground and do all the fun things with them, but then and then they feel like the reward for that person showing them this fake love is to give them what they want in that fashion. So they don't really know any better. And then as they grow, they just think that that's something normal. Now, that's not all cases. Let's be clear, because we just got some deviant, like Morphine said. You got some that were prey, some that were predators. Some are just predators. But I do believe that a lot of the situations are more or less that they were prey, and it was looked at as a loving relationship. So then they grow up and think that that's okay for them to do as well.
Yeah, I mean, and that does make sense for certain situations. It does, because they have a skewed sense of what love looks like, and then they put that off on the little boy or whatever the case is that they're dealing with. In some cases, little girls too, and whatnot. But it's sad because and the craziest part of it is that person won't get the help that they need because they think that's a normal behavior pattern. So when people confront them about it or take them to the side or however people would confront them about it, they don't see the problem. They're like, what are you crazy, girl? I love that child. I love that, and then now people have to adjust in their own way by limiting their access to children.
This is a hard conversation because, like I said, in these conversations, it is hard to psychoanalyze why somebody would do something when you have those two sides of that coin. You understand one side, but the predator side, like I said, at one time the predator was prey. So, it's not, when one say the predator was prey, that's not a voice or a ear for sympathy or empathy, but just
Right.
since the question
Right.
was asked, it was asked for understanding. It's just asked for understanding. But to find morality, it's just to find insanity, because there's no morality in that. So why would you try to
Right.
find that?
Right.
Drop the link, sir.
I'm trying my best, but I'm having some technical difficulties over here. I'm trying my
Use your
best.
phone. Use your phone. Yeah. See, they young and teach you. You know, we got the different devices. We don't gotta count on one no more.
Well, in our day, we had the wagon wheel that gave us the electricity. So
So the guy that sat, what he sat on the baby,
no,
rolled
he was
over on the
holding.
baby.
Yeah, he was holding her. And like I said, he was in such a way where she didn't roll off the couch, and he thought he was just securing her, and in doing so, he fell asleep, and then, in turn, kind of suffocated her.
Oh, so she wouldn't roll. He kind of held her a little too tight.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I'll say this, and I'm gonna be a little hypocritical when I say this. I co-slept with all of my children from that, like they never slept in their own beds. But for example, like Billy wouldn't sleep in the bed when I co-slept with them
Mm-hmm.
because he sleeps a little differently than I do. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm on spider mom mode. What's it? Yes, a little every day. Sorry, give me 1 second, guys.
No problem. But I mean, I really feel like I feel like if
Oh,
I
that's
don't
your
know,
song.
huh?
That's your song.
That ain't my song. That ain't my song.
You better stop, man, before they
Oh,
come and mute us.
I see your head, Bob. I seen it.
She know that's her jam. She like it. She don't know what they
Oh,
So
saying, but she like it.
so real quick, just to get back to what I was saying. I'm sorry, my kids interrupted me.
It's cool. We had a music break.
I love it. You got, if you know that you can't co-sleep with a kid, don't do it.
no.
If you're on medication that makes you a little more drowsy than normal, don't do it. If you drink, don't do it. Because once you fall asleep, you risk that chance of rolling over on your child, and you can, in fact, suffocate that child. That's why a lot of pediatricians, and they even tell you from leaving the hospital not to co-sleep with your child.
I
Now,
always
fortunately,
found it
like
extremely uncomfortable sleeping with a kid.
I don't know. I was one of those moms, like I would like, but I had a plan. Like one time I had like this little bassinet that
See,
goes
I
in the
had
middle.
that. I had that, the little bassinet that went in the bed. I'm not saying it's
Mhm.
uncomfortable because it's a kid. I'm saying it's uncomfortable because you know it's a kid in your bed. You can't sleep how you would without a
Right.
kid
Yeah.
in your bed. So I'm saying it's extremely uncomfortable. For me, I kept waking up every 5 minutes to make sure I wasn't crushing little dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, for
So I
me, it was
never really slept like through anything.
so. For me, it was the opposite though. Like when I did try to put them in the little bassinet, outside of my bed, because I had one that you can pull up to the side of the bed. I would keep my hand on her or him. I was scared that they would stop breathing in the middle of the night.
Oh, you were scared
Like,
of what is it? SIDS? Isn't
yeah.
that what it's called?
So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
when I did put them somewhere else, I was actually getting up more and losing more sleep from getting up to like put my finger under their nose to make sure they were still breathing and watch their chest move. So I was like, you know what? Just sleep in the bed with me. That way I could just put my hand on your chest and I know you're breathing. But every
Yeah.
mother's different, which is totally fine. But like I said, that's something that people do need to be aware of since we brought it up. That if you're a rough sleeper, if you're on medication, if you drink, if you're like a sleeper that tosses and turns a lot, do not co-sleep with your baby. It's
See, I
not
sleep
right.
wild. I sleep wild. However, I don't sleep wild when I have a little one in my bed. I sleep very uncomfortable because I can't sleep wild.
Right.
I know that they're there. I could be in a deep sleep and I know
Yeah.
something is in the bed with me, especially from a person that is used to sleeping by themselves. So, yeah, it's very uncomfortable. I sleep wild. Like we could be in a king size bed. I will find a way to roll over all of
Yeah,
it.
see me, you find me one way or the other. I'm either on the left side on one hip, or I rolled over to the right side on the other hip. Like
Man,
when
I'm
I go
bad
to
for
bed
that.
and I wake up, all I gotta do is pull the blanket over. That's how calmly I sleep. Yeah, you sleep like a toddler, Morphine.
Mm-hmm.
You sleep like Momo. Momo be at the foot of the bed, the corner of the bed.
I don't be at the foot, but like I said, I'm a roller. I will roll until I know the end of the bed is near, and then I stop.
Oh
I
man.
will roll. I won't end up at the other end of the bed or the side of the bed, but definitely gonna roll from one end to the other end because I like space. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was a floor sleeper, so I'm used to having endless space.
Right. 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 That's basically like you hit a California king or something.
Yeah, like we was
Man.
in a California King. I couldn't roll over there, all of that. But the regular king size, I found my way
Mm,
over to the other side, not to the end, but to the other side. My
mm.
fiance was like, "Okay, so you really not used to sleeping with people? Like we gonna have a his and her beds when we get older. I just want you to know that." Hey, gonna be
Well,
65, achy, waking up because you done had your
right.
50-pound arm on me all night.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I like starting over. I mean, I like starting, cuddling or something like that, but it's not for long because I got a high body heat quotient. So and
The
then
heat,
and then
the
on top of
snoring.
well, I might be guilty of that maybe, but yeah, I don't know what it's looking like these days. I'm gonna have to ask, but I think it's gotten a little bit better and stuff like that. But
The
yeah,
snoring though, the snoring is. I know if I snore, I don't know. I'm not gonna say I know I snore. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I never got accused. But this, if I snore like that, then people it shouldn't sleep through things like that. You should be
what
able to wake up. How do you sleep through snoring but can't? How do people sleep through snoring
because they
but
don't know.
can't hear when somebody's but hear when somebody breaking in their house? They sleep through all less noise, but as soon as something go boom, you like
Yeah,
you
Look,
know.
because
let me tell y'all something. There's some days Billy be snoring so because he always goes to bed earlier than me. Y'all know that.
mhm.
And I walk in there and I be like, nope, not today, Satan. And I'll go to Monica's room. Cause he be and I be like, yeah, no, I can't fall asleep with them. I can't.
I feel like you make me want to buy you a mouth guard because clearly you got sleep apnea, and we gonna fix this. Cause I want good night's sleeps. I want good night's sleeps. I want good night's sleeps. So I'm not gonna bitch. I'm not gonna nag. I'm just gonna fix it.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. But I mean, I remember I was in a relationship once, and she'd actually found comfort in my snoring because she knew I was at peace, right? And I was like, okay, okay. Yeah, and it was like that. That was fine. But you got other situations where, yeah, that's not the case. You disturbing somebody else's rest.
She really liked you, cause ain't no way.
She did, but my thing was, but I mean, what can you do? Like
Mm-mm.
I didn't know how. Every now and again, she nudge me or move me or something like that, so it stops. But I just never understood it. And she was like, "Nah, I go straight to sleep when I hear you snore." I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
I
Never knew.
cannot. I
Never
cannot.
knew.
I like silence. I don't sleep with the TV on.
Hmm.
I like silence. I like the dark. You know how many grown people are scared of the dark?
Quite a
At their
bit.
grown age, they still scared of the dark.
Quite a bit.
I'm like you, Morphine. I can't have the TV on, the radio, nope, all silence.
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 I just
Nah,
need silence. I need to hear the air, bruh.
I will fall asleep in the middle of a basketball game. I don't care. Like
That's y'all men.
if I'm tired, that's
girl.
just it. If I'm tired and I'm sleepy, I'm going to sleep. It don't matter.
That's the man thing. I be down here taking a nap, and I hear the boys screaming and thumping around, playing the game and whatever, and he over there snoring, and I'm like, how do you do this?
I got some current events for y'all. Have y'all seen the Candace Owens video that she got? Because she got her own talk show now.
Okay.
She has her own talk show. And she talks about, I'm sorry, I hit the wrong. I meant to hit the other button. Wait a minute. Oh, damn it. I done hit the game. Oh, God. My game is going to load now. It's about to slow down everything. No, don't play. Don't do it. Exit out of everything.
Hey, you almost sounded like Kevin Hart. No.
Like, no, don't do it. Don't launch. It's going to launch anyway. I'm at to close it. It just takes a while to do it. So she has her own talk show. Okay, let me look into the camera. She has her own talk show, YouTube, and she talks about all different types of political things. You know, this particular situation, it was about Trump and the MAGA. More about MAGA than Trump, but how they have some extreme conservative religious more. She was just really extreme on this religious thing, this religious black background, and it's really, really anti-Semitic. And she didn't say anything too much about black people, but she was talking that she was defending all these other races in Pakistan or Palestine, some things that's going down there, and she was, you know, defending the people, and she was like, you know, these mega people and these in conservatives are basing a lot of their decisions off of their religion, and you know, state and religion is supposed to be separate. So she was like, she really doesn't dig that, and she's seeing the the racist side come out of MAGA and its administration. And I was like, oh my God, not you, Candace. Not Miss Candace.
Well, one of the things that we have to remember, because I watched I actually watched that entire thing. And one of the things that we have to remember is that Candace, you know, I mean, I don't know her personally, but from what she presents and how she talks about it, she's very, very Christian. And like she even mentioned like how Trump and Elon have multiple baby mamas and multiple children. Yes, baby. Okay, baby, I'm on your phone. And that it seems like a lot of people are getting away from Christian values, which is bothering her now. And but yeah, then she did go on this rant about Palestine, Gaza, Israel, and all these other things. And I really didn't get it. Like, I'm gonna watch it again because I think I was getting interrupted that day too. Yes, ma'am. So I can't really speak too much on it because again, I think I was getting interrupted, but I did catch a few pieces, and it was actually kind of surprising to hear her about that. But I really think it has a lot to do with pointing out the Christian values, or let's say the non-Christian values of a few people in office that she just didn't want to point out by name. So I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm not saying that's what it is because I'm gonna have to watch it again. So yeah, that was odd. I
just thought that she was all for MAGA and the Trump administration, and I just thought it was very odd that she brought some of these things up. Now, I do know that most conservatives do have an extreme Christian background, per se. Extreme Christian background, and they do like pitting their politics and religion in the same thing. They like to, mosh that up, as Jamaicans would say. And I don't think that they should be one and the same. I think that privacy gets it gets invaded when it comes down to certain religious beliefs and Christianity. I'm just being real. I'm just being real. I'm not naysaying religion or any religion. I'm just saying like they privacy ain't no privacy. So things of that nature. Which, in their defense, I'm not paying 60-40, but it's like, be fair, let's be fair. In their defense, if you live in a righteous life, there's nothing to be in private about. Let's share the word to all the people. I just want to share my testimony. And they all about testifying and things of that nature. They like doing that. But along come with testimonies come that damn pot.
Well, here's the thing, and this is why, there are certain things that I don't agree with when it comes to like religion and pop. Those two things do not belong together whatsoever. Because you're going to have one extreme or the other. You're either going to have a regime that you cannot express your religious freedoms or even practice them in private. So that's one extreme. And then you have those that when it comes to politics, it needs to be left out of politics. That's, for example, I know we all saw when Trump got sworn in, he didn't put his hand on the Bible. Melania held it, but he didn't put his hand on it. And for example, Elon Musk, this was the only issue I had with it because Trump never claimed to be a Christian. He believes in God. And neither does Elon. He says, I believe that the teachings of Jesus is good, but I'm not really particularly a Christian. I'm into science and rockets and stuff,
Because science and religion don't always agree. I'm just saying. The science and religion don't always agree. And, most scientists is atheists. And I'm just going to put the truth out there.
Right.
But that's the thing. The thing about
I ain't an atheist for YouTube. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm not an atheist either. My thing is that I'm as I've gotten older, I'm more spiritual than I am religious because I attend the Baptist church now. I was raised holiness, Pentecostal, apostolic. That's how I was raised. But once I started to learn more about the word and learn about spirituality and stuff like that and what it's all about, it's about God. It's about my my God and stuff like that. Who's the head of my life? It's not about a specific religion because once you start getting into that, now you start getting into control, restraint, a lot of politics within the religion, and I'm not for that. And then when certain truths come out, all of a sudden the religious people, the traditional religious people, they can't see past what you should be really looking into. And the pastor that we have now, he explains stuff. He goes into stuff. He makes it into real world things and stuff like that. So it appeals to your spirit in an everyday way as it relates to the teachings that he's preaching. Like I'm not one of those blind religious people. I'm not that guy. And stuff. You have to make it make sense. If you're gonna sit there and be talking about thee, though, thou, and all this stuff, you can't be speaking scripture and not know how to decipher it and know how to present it to everyday regular people. So for me, I'm less religious than I am spiritual. I'm very spiritual and stuff like that when it comes to that, because like I said, I wasn't raised Baptist. And then once I started looking at what we did the exact same thing. We just had a different label, and stuff. So I stopped categorizing things as, this, that, and the third, because I'm gonna tell you, Christians, if we want to talk about Christians were some of the most ruthless individuals. Those Christian crusades, they were mass murderers.
They were crazy.
So we have
selling witch trials and ish, like crazy.
Yeah. Witch hunts and people who even look different. They put them on the fire. Like, right. So it was a whole lot of stuff, because if they didn't understand it, it must be witchcraft. So it was
still to this day.
Yeah,
To this day, it's still this way.
so we have to be very, very careful how we categorize things and how we put things out there to say, oh, I'm this and I'm that. Because now you're saying, guess what? The Ku Klux Klan is Christians too.
But I think for me, what I'm trying to convey is with Candace Owens, I understand where she's coming from, but you got to leave politics out of that. Because as a Christian, you know, you believe in the nuclear family, the husband, the wife, but we are a melting pot in this nation. So you have people who are Muslim who may practice having more than one wife. You have people of other religions that don't define Christianity and shouldn't have to be ruled by Christianity. No different than I disagree with religion in schools. I don't agree with that because you have so many different people in schools that have different religions. So it's not fair for me to say you have to pray to Jesus and you have to be a Christian while you're in my classroom, but you're a Muslim or you're a Buddhist or you're an atheist. That's not fair to everybody involved. So again, when we're talking about politics and religion, that's why they got the separation of church and state. And it needs to stay that way. Regardless of who's saying it, whether it's Candace Owens, whether it's Trump, whether it's Jasmine, I don't care who says it. Religion and politics do not belong in the same sentence. And it's no different than, I know my father and my grandfather taught me one thing a long time ago. Two things you don't want to talk about with your family and friends, especially if you're on opposing sides or you don't have the same views, as politics and religion, because it's going to get you in a mess every time. And then, God forbid, you combine them both. So again, I think, like I said, I'm gonna watch it again. I'm gonna put that on my bucket list for tomorrow while I'm cleaning something, and I'm gonna watch it again so I can get the full context of what she was saying. But I think it was more like, and I don't even understand that part. Like, everybody is for everybody else but America. I'm for Gaza. I'm for Ukraine. I'm for China. I'm for this.
Right, right.
But you live in America. Like, how are you for everybody else but America? Right. I'm for America, hands down. At this point, and I'm gonna say it nicely. Whatever they doing over there, let the best man win. I'm gonna stay over here and mind my black ass business. I ain't got nothing to do with that. I'm American. Now, if it affects America, oh yeah, I'm coming 10 toes down. But I'm not about to go be marching for no. That's a problem too. Everybody want to march for everybody else, but when it comes to marching for actual America, they ain't doing that. But again, I'm gonna watch that Candace one. Matter of fact, Morphine, me and you will talk. We'll do the back chat and that after I watch it again, because I don't like not knowing what I'm talking about, and I didn't catch the whole thing.
I got it from this other video. I didn't actually watch her whole. I don't watch her. I ain't gonna lie. You know how I feel about that woman. We had a whole thing about that woman. Like, I think many moons ago on this show. I was like, yeah, I don't like her. However, has nothing to do. It's all about politics with her. I don't know what she do with her home and all of that other good stuff. That's neither here or there, nor my business. Now, I will say I was watching somebody else's stuff on YouTube, and I want to shout this guy out. Who the heck was I watching? See, I've been recording music, so my history is all messed up right now. But I just was watching this guy while I was at work, and his name is Reese Waters. Reese Waters has his own channel, and he always talk about political things. And she came across his topic of the day, and he played out her whole video in little spats and parts, because you can't be playing people whole videos on YouTube. You gotta pause it every now and again for copyrights. And he was, he went through his whole show was about what she said, and that and the important parts. Even if you did watch Miss Fields, the whole thing. It's only certain parts that matters, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But there might have been some meat and cherries in other parts that was not publicized because it didn't hit his agenda, whatever agenda of his channel. That may be nuances to this conversation though, because you do
Mm-hmm.
have a biased opinion being told that I am viewing. So there is that. I'm not biased on the things that she says and what she says about the black community. Um, I'm just a little biased because she's not in the black community. She did the typical thing that everybody do when they marry outside their race. They move them out the black community. That's
Mm-hmm.
usually what happens. And since you're not in it, you really probably was never in it. Probably grew up in. I don't know. I don't know this woman. I don't know. I'm just people like her. Probably grew up in the more suburban places, and they talk about not only what they never experienced, but what they seen on TV, what they see on
Mm-hmm.
social media, what they see on hip hop, or what they see in rap. They talk
Mm-hmm.
about what they seen, but not really what they experience.
Right.
You
Right.
know, so there's that nature. So they think that if they walk, like if people that's watching, if you're from Philadelphia, if they think if they walk on 22nd and Allegheny that they gonna get robbed,
Mm.
even though it's dangerous, or if they walk on board in Allegheny that the corner boys is going to try to come at her, or can't spark an intelligent conversation, or has no education. You'd be surprised how educated the little boys are, and the fact that they got whole jobs now. They got whole jobs now. Like they don't even be on the corner all day no more. You go out there, you looking for your stuff, and these dudes they clock in and clock out now. It's not how it once used to be, and one would know that if you was in these streets. I'm just saying, you don't got to be of the streets to be in the streets. You don't got to be doing street shit to be helping people in the streets.
Correct. Yep. Yeah. I mean, and the other part of it too is a lot of the times when people the craziest part about the craziest part about that when it comes to black folks when they get a little bit of money or they link up with a white person because they think it's an upgrade, whatever the case their mindsets are, they get so disconnected to they don't see what it is where they came from. They don't see it anymore. They think that, oh well, that's beneath me and that's this. Listen, I've never been a person who says stay and be loyal to where you're from. No, you can
Mm-hmm.
acknowledge where you're from, but you're supposed to move up in the world. You're supposed to move up and out. You're supposed to
Mm-hmm.
do that. You're not supposed to stay put. I referenced Snoop Dogg before because he even talked about how his hood dudes, he had to separate himself when he saw that they weren't trying to change. When they saw
Right.
that what they were doing was what they were going to be doing. And that wasn't Snoop. Snoop was always making his steps. He was always doing what he needed to do to move forward. And soon he was called, Uncle Tom. Soon he was called, oh well, you turning your back on the hood, or no, you ain't turning. He always would come back to you guys, but yet you're
Mm-hmm.
saying he's a sellout. How's he a sellout when he's doing what's best for his family? That's a grown man that has a whole family, including a wife, for several years. Like, so he's not trying to stay in the hood. He's trying to give his family a better chance at a better life. So why would you want him to stay where you are or stay at a lower level? Like, so he was just saying, like, sometimes you can't take people with you because they're not
Oh,
willing to let go of their limitations. You know what I'm
no,
saying?
I mean Ice-T is it Ice Cube. I'm sorry, not Ice-T. Ice Cube did he was trying to do his little political thing. I think right around what Biden was coming in office, and he
Uh,
said
No,
something.
it was actually when Trump first ran for office
Oh
too.
well, it was one of them. One of
Hmm.
them when things started hitting the fan. All right, I do want to say something about that. I'm gonna get on that. I'm not gonna lose that thought. But anyway, um, Ice Cube came up with I guess a nice little political plan that he thought that black people should follow, or at least not follow, but jump on. Not follow, but actually jump on and build on. So we're going to start here with A, B, and C. I don't know. I'm not going to say verbatim exactly what he said. I'm just going to put this in a general variable. So he said, yo, listen, we got to have A, B, and C. And we can build off of there. There's other freaking letters. I'm about to say the F word. There's other freaking letters in the alphabet. But I just want to start off with A, B, and C. And if you guys think that, you could build on E, F, and G and the rest of them, let's go from there. But we got to come together. We got to start here. He said, I think some shit about, those the people that shall not be named. And that got some sparks, and the whole Nick Cannon thing that got some sparks and things. Did he actually come and apologize for that? I don't think he did. I don't think he ever did. He never apologized for what he said. He never tried to take it back. He meant what he said. He never had to recant, and he got more backlash from us Negroes than anybody in America. But we love to claim that we're American first.
But here's the thing and I remember this very well, because this is when like Kanye was showing up at the White House, Lil Wayne was showing up at the White House, and Ice Cube was trying to sit down with both parties, separately, of course, and he wanted to hear what the Democrats had to say, and he wanted to hear what the Republicans had to say.
Yeah.
And the Democrats really didn't pay him no mind. The Republicans gave him more attention to what he was proposing as far as Black people, what we can do to, to help our Black communities and things of that nature. But the problem came when he said that pretty much the Democrats were ignoring what he was saying, but the Republicans were kind of listening to him. So then as soon as Black people heard the Republicans, they was like, oh no, we're not rocking with that. You doing a deal with the devil. You talking to the Republicans. Now, had the Democrats signed on to what he was proposing and backed him up, we would have been all behind him. But because it was the Republicans that were backing him, and I'm not saying backing him 100%, but at least they gave him more than the Democrats did.
Right.
So we just said, the hell with you, because you are Uncle Tom. You selling out to the Republicans. That's what happened with Ice Cube.
And the craziest part of it is that you have to understand throughout history, the Republican Party did more for Black people than a Democrat, and that's history. But the thing is that I don't know at what point. Now I can't accurately speak on which point it switched up. I'm gonna do my due diligence on that. But my thing is, it switched up, and Black people cleaved to the Democratic Party. You like Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. You understand? So that I mean, a lot of
Black man was a Republican. The first Black man that voted was a Republican.
Right.
But here's the thing too. So let me because
the parties did switch. We got to
they never
not switch, but they switched.
Hold on. I want to correct y'all, and you feel free to look it up yourself. They never switched. When we started as an American nation, there was only Democratic Party. The Republican Party was formed, and their major thing was to free the slaves and to be more business-like. Republicans have always been business-like. The Republican Party was formed way after the Democratic Party was formed. So there was never really a switch. I mean, we can call it that because we would think that, but history shows that the Republican Party was actually founded after the Democratic Party, and it was more in line to free the slaves and to run this country like an industrialized nation and make money.
Well, I guess I shouldn't have used the word switch. I should have said stayed loyal to or something to that effect, because for some reason black folks stayed loyal to the democratic process until recently, where you have a ton of black folks, a good faction of black folks, cleaving to the Republican Party, and whatnot. Now, for me, when I'm making my decisions.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I thought that. I thought that was my connection. Like,
No, that's definitely him.
I don't know what time it is over there, but it's 9 o'clock over here, and I'm hungry. So
I hear you chewing. That's all right. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Well,
I know that's mad unprofessional, but I'm sorry, YouTube.
No, I be chewing. I just be on mute though.
I didn't know you could hear me. Like real.
Yeah, I hear you. It sound like you eat lettuce.
It's a salad that we make at my job. It has a lot of vegetables in it.
See, I was right.
You got celery, carrots, all types of stuff.
That's good. That sounds good.
Man, my job is all about eating healthy, so I can't get fat to save my life.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that.
Until I went to my mama's house, and then all that changed. But I think he was saying something about the Republicans. Why black people are so loyal to the Democrat Party? I think black people are loyal to the Democrat Party because historically, racist people has claimed the Republican side outwardly more than Democrats have. Like,
well, that too, but it's like sometimes like I call some of us like Democrats by default. I call a lot of us Christian by default. By that, I simply mean that it's because that's what our parents taught us to be. That's what our grandparents were, our great grandparents, whomever. And so we were taught to be that without doing our own research into these parties or these religions. Kind of like Dedrick said earlier, I've gotten to the point where I'm more spiritual than I am religious. I'm not religious at all, but I'm more spiritual. Now, Billy's still a Christian. Hey, you're a Christian by default. You want to say your prayer before you eat, which is really the only time I see the man pray, which is why he's a Christian by default. But even like this go round, in this race, this presidential race, I literally made him listen to Trump, and I literally made him listen to Kamala Harris. We would sit down and have in-depth conversations about politics. And guess what? He didn't vote Democratic this year. And he's been a lifelong Democratic voter. I've never been one or the other. I always said that I'm going to vote for the person who makes the most sense. That's it. Period. And I think that we just have such a loyalty to this party, even though we've been voting for this party for decades, and we still haven't gotten anywhere. So with this go round, and I mean, Trump even said it, like, what you got to lose at this point? Y'all, we suck right now. Like, at least try something different. If it don't work, you only got me for 4 years. If it don't work. But let's try something different, because obviously what's been going on isn't working.
Especially if that 2024 ish is just straight up fear mongering, then yeah, we only got 4 years of them. And if it works, it works. If it don't, it don't.
And we move on. I mean, we can't really do much about it. He's the president. Just like we couldn't do nothing. Anybody who didn't want Biden to be president for 4 years, they couldn't do nothing about it. He was still a president,
But I knew he was going to win. I knew he was going to win because his last opponent was a woman, and his new opponent was a woman. And I'm not going to say that he won because he's a woman. I'm going to say he won because why is that his opponent? Why is that her
Well,
opponent? You get what I'm saying? For the first time for any
yeah,
woman, for why is it always him? So it
right,
just seemed like it was
because he beat
designed that
Hillary
way.
too. Because he
Right.
beat Hillary and
And
then Kamala.
it just seemed like a setup situation for both parties. Like that's why I think they the same. They the same coin, different sides, man.
Yeah, I always say that. I say right wing, left wing, same bird.
Right.
Um, and not only that, I think that presidents are selected and not elected. I mean, they give us this facade that we go out and we vote, and at the end of the day, the popular vote's going to win. But we even know that's not true because
Yeah,
it's not upon the popular vote.
it's not about that
On
popular vote.
it's about the states
I
and the
mean,
people.
shit, you gotta be realistic.
Yeah, they're going to put in who they want.
Would you want your president that's gonna run your government be voted in by popular demand?
I just knew I didn't want
Right,
Kamala.
like you got to think about that thing for a minute. Like popularity is winning presidencies, and was that ever a
Right.
good thing? Like, was that ever a good system? I'm just saying. I don't.
No.
I don't think that was ever a good idea. Whoever gave that idea when he was around the round table and say, "Hey, let the people vote and let them go around gradually getting favor based off of popularity."
Right. That's not what I want. I
Right.
want the person that's going to do the job. And it doesn't matter if they're black, white, female, male, midget with purple polka dots. I don't care.
Mhm.
I just want the person that's going to do the job. And, we are still in, this. I watched something earlier. It was a show where this guy was talking about, well, we just got to face facts. And the reason why Kamala lost is because she's black and she's a woman. And I'm like, when are we letting go of this? Because that's not why she lost.
They never gonna let that go because I don't think she lost because she's black. Definitely think she lost because she a woman, and I think she lost also because they keep pitting women against Trump. Like what? If you told me who I was running against, I'd be like, no, I run next year. Like like I'm cool. I'm good. And if I was him, I'm just putting shoes on different foot. I'm not playing 60-40. If I was him, I'm definitely running against all of them. I'm about to win them. I'm about to win all this. This is the rap skis. It's Hillary and it's Kamala. It wasn't like it was Kamala, whatever. It was Camilla and Hillary. It wasn't Michelle. Like it wasn't Michelle. If Michelle went up there, you think he was going to win? No, he's not.
Honestly,
I don't see that in his forecast. I would be very surprised at America.
But
I would be very surprised at America.
Here's the thing, though. For me, this is what I believe. This is heavy on my opinion.
If another man went up there, he wouldn't win. I'm just saying.
I believe that I don't believe that if Michelle was parroting the same things that Kamala was, that she would have won either. There's a lot of people that there are certain things that they wanted done in this country that unfortunately the left did not focus on. So they did not focus on the war in Ukraine unless it was giving them money. They did not focus on closing the borders. They wanted to welcome more people. And those were actually the top two things besides the economy. So you got the borders, the war, and economy. Those were the three things that were hyper fixated on. And the left totally dropped the ball on that because all they focused on, in my opinion, and let me be very clear, I watched every Trump rally, every Trump interview, every Kamala interview, every Kamala rally. I watched them all in full. And all the left ever did was say, Trump bad, Trump this, Trump that, abortion, LGBTQIA. They very, very rarely touched on the main things that the American people were wanting out of them. Now,
which was
had they come with
international issues.
yes. Now, had
I
they
don't think
focused more
Michelle
on
would
that,
have really focused on international issues. I definitely think she would have been head first on immigration because Obama was, and she would always go for the LGBT community. Fucking folk. That's how she got her husband in. So I mean, but here's the thing. I don't think she would have went hard on that shit because here's why. She already got their vote. She don't need to go fight for it. She don't need to go campaign for it. I definitely think she would have definitely did the immigrant thing. I definitely think she would have never touched on in the what is it? What do they call that? International affairs. That's what they call it. International. She wouldn't because her husband did. Like if it wasn't for 9/11, that motherfucker would have never cared about what the hell was going over there. Like it wasn't it was first of all, the whole Nazi war lasted so like they did not get help from Americans because Americans did not want any more international issues that we did not bring upon ourselves. Okay. So once it was a war that we ain't got shit to do with, we just was like, I'm good. I'm good. Like we start wars on our own. We don't need no other fucking issues. We just really don't. We need to go be making treaties all the shit that we did in the past from 60 years ago. We need to go, on the I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
well, that's
Like,
that's what I'm kind of saying. Like, I'm not against them. I'm against these Democrats, the ones that are roaming around right. Not all of them, of course, but a handful. I'm just like, y'all cannot be serious right now, because here's the thing: you have, as I stated earlier, we have this melting pot of a nation where we have all different religions, beliefs, backgrounds, cultures. So we need that balance. We need the liberal balance with the conservative balance to be fair for our nation. But in my opinion, and this is probably why their approval rating is at like a whopping 27% right now, the Democrats, the only thing they are doing is talking for 25 hours, protesting, burning Teslas, and cussing and screaming at the podium, and bad mouthing everything that Trump does, instead of coming with plans and solutions and sitting down at the table with the Republicans. At the end of the day, you still got to work with them. You got to work with them. So why can't we just come together? And because you have to have that balance. And the way that I see it right now, which is actually disappointing, when I look at the Democrats, I'm like, y'all ain't even trying. And we kind of need y'all, because I don't want certain rights to be stripped away from people because the far right has control and power. And I don't want to see conservatives stripped from their rights either. So that's why you're supposed to have the two-party system, so that they can come together and say, okay, let's say, for example, we don't, conservatives, no more biological men and women's sports. Liberals, trans women are women too. Okay, let's come together. Let's make a trans sports league. I'm just using that for an example.
Well, yeah, it's the same thing with the bathroom. Like let's transform bathrooms into, single bathrooms and things like that. It would make it safer for everybody, not just them. And make it safer for everybody, and it will lower your utility bills. You don't need five toilets anymore.
Well, here's the thing that I saw earlier. This is gay guy that I follow. Oh, what is his name? I can't think of it. White guy. Something Brando. Anyways, but he's like, he's just like, I'm just gay. Like I'm gay. I'm American. I'm happy to live and do what I do, right? And he said something that I watched, and it was more or less like, if we could just come to the table and meet in the middle ground, it would actually make people more accepting of the LGBT community, instead of having this, I won't say hatred, because I really don't think the majority of people hate gay people or trans people. They just really want to go to the bathroom that that they want to go to. I mean, that they should go to, and they don't want to be imposed. They don't want their rights imposed. And it made perfect sense because once that starts to happen, you know, you could be walking, there could be 3 bathrooms. Let's say a male, trans, well, let's say a gender neutral bathroom, to be fair, because we got 9 non-binary and stuff. So you got a male, non-binary, female bathroom. Hell, Dedrick could walk past and a trans will be walking, or a non-binary person walking their gender neutral bathroom, and Dedrick could say hi to him, right? Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, I'm going to pee too. Sure. All right. Have a nice day. But when you start to force things on people, it does start to build a resentment towards a certain demographic of people. So if we just could come to a compromise, like me personally, I don't care, but people do care. So once we can come to a compromise, then people are more willing to accept those people into their areas, their common areas. So it's like, okay, well, it's not hurting me. It's not bothering me. They got their bathroom, I got mine.
Well, that's the thing. That's the other side of things right there, because I do care. My thing is that because once you get to the point where you're compromising everything, that's when it becomes a problem. What do you stand on? Where's the moral? Where is it? Like, because when you draw the line, it's like you drawing the line in sand at the beach. That line is going to be blurred and sometimes erased altogether. My thing is that you got to stand on something. All this stuff now, let me segue back into, I don't know if you guys remember this, but President Obama, he was talking around the same things Donald Trump was talking about when it came to the trans thing and this homosexual thing, not homosexual, basically he was standing on the side of these things that, you know, they shouldn't be playing, men should not be playing in women's sports and vice versa. And Joe Biden, when he stepped out of line and said something, President Obama could not backtrack and say, no, I disagree. He had to stand behind Biden because Biden screwed up and said something in public about where he stood on that particular matter that forced President Obama. He couldn't go backwards. He couldn't backtrack after he made that statement out loud. So he had to toe the line and stuff like that and whatnot. So he couldn't really change up his whole administration, because now you're going to be looked at as your administration is even not even together. So that when that first term happened, I remember when Biden did that, and he couldn't backtrack. He couldn't really say anything else about it. He had to stay in that direction. And I already knew what President Obama believed in, and that's not something that he ever agreed with. However, when Biden made that public statement, he had to go back and back Biden because there was nothing else he could do when Biden stepped out of turn and said what he said. And so fast forward and going back to what I was saying, my thing is that just like Jessica was saying, you can't, when you start forcing people to think what you think, or forcing people to talk the way you talk, or accept your lifestyle. That's like somebody crafting on a plate and giving you a fork and telling you to eat it. Like, first of all, you're not forcing me to change my beliefs and my moral value and what I value as a father, as I value as a companion, or whatever the case is. You're not about to tell me my daughter got to share a freaking locker room with a boy. You're not about to tell me that. You're not about to tell me that the team has to compete against a boy when it's not fair. You see what I'm saying? Like, so a lot of the stuff, like with all this LB, the alphabet, where does it stop? Where is it going to stop?
When they start separating themselves, when they start understanding that today's political issues has nothing to do with gay men, gay women, bisexual women, bisexual men. It's only with trans men and trans women. That's what the issue is about. Ain't nobody caring about your ass being gay. Ain't nobody caring about you being a lesbian. Ain't nobody caring about you raising babies. He did not take your right away to get married. Right. Let's point that out, because he could have did that. Could have did that shit first. Like, oh no, y'all ain't get married no more because it's unchristian like.
Right.
But
Right. He
since
could have
he's
done it.
not super freaking religious, he don't care about that shit. What you do care about is that would have always became an issue, y'all. Whoever's hearing this would have always became an issue for you. Every time you thought you was going to go into a man's bathroom or a woman's bathroom or a women's sports team or a man's sports team, what made you think you wasn't going to have an issue with this? I'm not going to say it's wrong. I'm just going to say it's going to be an issue. Even I can see a problem. Even I can see a problem. So you're always going to be issues. And when is it going to stop? When they decide to separate themselves.
Right. And here's the thing, for clarity, when I say that I don't care, this is what I don't know if y'all ever heard of. It's a Democrat. It's a young man. His name is Jonah Wheeler.
Mhm.
Keep your eyes on that young man. He's 22 years old and he is in the Senate, I want to say in Maine. Articulate Black man, Democrat nonetheless. But even he stood up against. And like his constituents walked out, his peers walked out of the room when he made his speech. And I felt what he said. And this is where I want to clarify what I said. It's not that I don't care. I care when it affects somebody else.
Mhm.
So if you have, let's say, a basketball team, right? And let's say it's women, and then there's a trans woman that wants to play on that basketball team. If those women don't have a problem with it, I don't care. But if just one woman has a problem sharing the locker room, sharing the bathroom, or him being on that team, then it becomes an issue. Because their rights should not end where trans rights begin.
Absolutely.
There's going to be an issue because just because that team is okay with it doesn't mean that the rival team they playing is going to be okay with it. Doesn't mean the league is going to be okay with it. Doesn't mean the parents is going to be okay. You're going to always have an issue.
Yeah.
Because you want to do something that invades everybody else's privacy. If
Mhm.
it was the government, citizens would have an issue with it. What makes you think bro, if God came in everybody's house, it's an atheist that's going to have an issue with it. Okay?
Mhm.
Like, I'm just saying, you're going to have an issue anytime you're invading somebody's privacy. I think I started this conversation off with invading the privacy with Candace Otis situation. A lot of these things just keep coming some way back to invasion of privacy. Rather, it is the left or the right. They just keep trying to invade your freaking privacy somehow, some way.
Mhm.
No,
So,
I agree with you.
and I gotta land my plane. I gotta get out of here, you guys. I don't know how long y'all live are gonna be, but I am thankful for y'all having me on here.
I appreciate you for coming through. Absolutely.
Sorry, Miss Fields. Hold
It's
it down
all
for me.
right. I'ma hold it down. No, but what I was saying is more or less that some people don't have a problem with trans, gay, lesbian, bi, queer, whatever the hell, right? And if that person chooses not to have a problem with it, okay, fine. But as soon as one person speaks out and says, I am uncomfortable, there should be no questions asked. Okay, so this person's uncomfortable. You know what? I'm sorry, you cannot be here. You cannot be in this locker room. Okay. Now, of course, I have a daughter. So am I comfortable with letting men use the bathroom? Hell no. I'm not. But again, at the end of the day, I think the biggest thing is going back to what I was saying about forcing. They're forced to do these things. I mean, that's no different than the NCAA, Leah Thomas, what's her name? Riley, I forget her first name, with the swimming. Do you realize that, like, when they spoke up to the college and said we are uncomfortable, they pretty much said, shh, you can't say that.
Right.
Shh, you got to just deal with it. No, that's wrong. So I'm just saying, like, now if none of the girls had a problem with it, I'd be like, all right, whatever. Because guess what? It doesn't really affect my life one way or the other. But as soon as one person says, I am uncomfortable with it, there should not be a question. It really shouldn't. And it goes back to that forcing aspect of it. That's not right. You know, because women fought for rights. Women, for all that, why have a woman in a man's league? For all that, what's her name? Caitlin Clark can play in the NBA, and LeBron can play in the WNBA.
Right.
And just identify as a different sex.
Right.
And LeBron gonna score 748 points per game. And poor Caitlin gonna get 2.
Man, I'm telling you.
So that part, yeah. And there's another woman I follow. She's actually gay, and she goes around interviewing people. And she's like, she cuts off the T, like the TQIA. I am LGB.
Yeah.
We were good when we were lesbian, gay, and bisexual.
Yeah.
All this trans and Q and TIA is ridiculous. And then there was another woman that I have ran across, and she made a very good point, because she was like, well, what's the plus for it? She said that's only to open up further things to come.
I saw that.
Yeah. And then she mentioned like the minor attracted people. So now that's going to be acceptable. And matter of fact, I think Candace Owens had a sit down with, who is it? The football player, the one that wears the weird, creepy hats and funny clothes.
Cam Newton.
Was it Cam? No, it was Nick Cannon. My bad. It was Nick Cannon, and he was like saying, "Well, you're putting your views on people, and that's how they feel."
Oh yeah. I saw that interview.
But wait a minute. She said, "Now, what happens when these minor attractive people come around? Is that going to be okay with you just because they identify with that?" And he got stuck. He was like, "Yeah, you got me on that one." So. When it comes down to politics, religion, all this other stuff, just to kind of reel it back, I'm by far no Trump lover. But right now, I'm supporting a lot of the stuff that he's doing because they make sense. And it's almost like when your TV don't work or something don't work, and you just unplug it and plug it back in. That's kind of where I feel we are, and I feel that we needed that. We needed some structure, some discipline back in the house.
Well, the thing with me is I was talking to Rhonda about this because I felt like the government needed some oversight. I think there was a lot of frivolous things happening with the money in this country, and I go back and I reflect with Flint, Michigan, for instance, with their water situation. How is it that all these millions and millions and millions of dollars, these tens of millions of dollars, are going overseas, and you got a major city in your country suffering from bad water, poisonous water? You got people having birth defects because of this water. And they said a figure. They said, I forgot how much it was, but they said a particular figure that it would take to completely redo the whole system. And when I was listening to all of this money that Elon was finding and all this other stuff like that, I'm like, well, there's the money for Flint. There's the money right there for Flint. So now I'm wondering, okay, where's the money now? Because I'm not hearing anything about where the money is.
There's the money for Flint. There's the money for all the people who are devastated by the Hurricane Helene. There's the money for California, for all the people that lost their homes and their livelihoods.
For North Carolina.
So what are we doing? It's like, and that's what I was, saying earlier. We stand for everybody else,
Mm-hmm.
except for America.
And that's wild. That's
And
wild
that's
to me.
wild.
Like,
Diabolical. That's the hell with wild. Diabolical.
and then let's go a little further. We have a weak power grid. We have an antiquated old power grid. And you're doing nothing to fix it. Absolutely nothing.
Nope.
And if they are, I ain't heard about it. I haven't seen it nowhere. I didn't have it. Like, and I'm sitting here like I'm looking at Japan and all their advanced. Them jokes look like a futuristic freaking city. You remember how we used to look at the Jetsons? You know,
I've
that's
been
how I'm
saying
looking at. That's how I'm looking at China and Japan. Like their advances are so mind blowing. I'm just in awe. I'm just like, this is absolutely cool.
And guess what? And I'm gonna say this real quick.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Guess who's been paying for that?
Mm.
We've been paying for that through tariffs.
Mm.
That's why everybody talking about these tariffs and losing their minds about it.
Mm-hmm.
If you really start to do your digging, which I have to be honest, before this, I didn't know all of the stuff that I know now.
Uh-huh.
And when everybody, as soon as I hear something, I go and research. I be nope, let me look it up. And I go, I be like, damn, well, that's messed up. Y'all been doing this like this whole time? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Look, I done started going through my house and looking at manufacturers. Like, is this made in America? It ain't made in America. I ain't buying it no more. We've been doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And yet our streets are jacked up. Our homeless people are here. They bringing all these drugs into our country. They just made a $509 million drug bust. Let me ask you a question, and I really want to know because I've been wanting to ask somebody that pays attention. I don't have that many people around me that pay attention. When's the last time you saw Joe Biden, Kamala, anybody get on the news and say, we just busted $509 million in drugs that was flowing into our country? I don't remember.
It's been a very, very, very long time.
Very long time.
It's been a very long time.
And your number one manufacturer of fentanyl is China. How you think they get it here when they import all of their crappy goods to us?
Mm.
It's on those shipping docks with that stuff. And it flows into our nation and it kills thousands and thousands and thousands of people a day.
Mm-hmm.
Not a week, not a month,
mm-hmm.
a day. So when, we might not like Trump per se, because he says dumb stuff. Sometimes I look at him like, come on, Trump, do better. But overall, if you are closing the borders, you're stopping drugs from coming in, you're actually going to start putting tariffs on these countries that have been tariffing the hell out of us for decades. And you want to bring business back to this country and make America great again in that aspect, I'm good with it. Because it's not about me. It's about my children. And it's about my grandchildren. Now, I could be wrong. His turn could be up and we'd be like, damn, well, that didn't work. But guess what? Neither did Biden's. Neither did Biden's.
Well, my thing
or
is,
it could turn out that it does work and we'll be like, okay, that was a good decision.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Trump. But everybody that's losing their mind and stuff, I'm like, yo, just calm down a minute. Let's see what happens. Because obviously what we've been doing ain't been working.
Mm.
That's my take on it. That's my take on it. And then, I'm going to say this one last thing about Trump, and I ain't going to talk about him no more. I get so sick of people talking about he a racist. He's not a racist. He's not a racist. He's not misogynistic, and he is not a racist.
Wait, you said he's not misogynistic?
No, he is not.
Okay, you're going to have to explain that one.
What would make you think he's misogynistic?
You haven't been listening to the things he said over the last several years. You haven't listened to the things that he said towards women.
A lot of men say things about women. I don't automatically deem them as misogynistic.
But this ain't about a lot of men. This is about Trump himself. Like a lot of the stuff that he said about women are straight up. Not only is it sexist, but it's really misogynistic. Like again, you talking locker room talk, grab them in the pussy. You talking about all this other stuff. Like you don't show a whole lot of respect to women. The if you see Melania, if you see his wife's face when he speaks to her, that woman don't like him. There's a lot of other stuff. There's a lot of stuff that's going on that he has the power over whatever or whoever's around him in his spaces and stuff like that. So for me, I'm just observing his behavior patterns, the way he speaks and stuff like that. That's not a good thing.
Okay, but is it only not a good thing because it's not barbershop talk?
No. When you're present,
so here's the thing. This is why I say this. My uncle used to own a barbershop, and when after school or something like that, weekends, I would go and I would work there. I sweep up the hair. You know, he give me like $10-15. I go get my candy, my now laters. You know, $10-15 went way far back then. I had a whole bunch of candy with $10-15 just for sweeping hair. And I've listened to the men in there talk, and they didn't say that much different than he has. So it is, in my opinion, that it's not because it's not something that men say. It's because it's him that says it. And I'm not defending. Hold on. Let me be very clear. Mm-hmm. He should not do that. He is a representative of this nation. And that's why I said earlier, sometimes he says some things and I'm like, whoa, wait, no, don't say that. Why would you say that out loud? I mean, you can think it all you want, but don't say that out loud, dude. You tripping. But I'm not in denial that there are a lot of men that talk that way. Now, racist, he's definitely not. Now, he might not like, and for the sake of our show, he might not like N-words. But neither do I. I love my black people. See how big I'm smiling? See how big my cheeks got? I love my black people. I don't like N-words. But what people don't know is that Trump has done a lot for many black people that the media does not show you because it does not fit their narrative. I'll give you an example. When President Obama, the first black president, was in office and Nelson Mandela got released, you know who got him? You know whose plane went and picked Nelson Mandela up?
Yes, I do.
When Jennifer Hudson's family got killed, do you know where she stayed with private security free of charge? Do you know that he has pardoned over 20,000 black people, majority black people, I won't say all, when he overturned Joe Biden's 94 crime bill because they were handed sentences that were ridiculous? He even has one now. It's a black woman, an older woman, spent 22 years in jail. Black woman. She is literally his pardon czar. So she reviews cases of people who have been in prison for minor offenses and have been given ridiculous sentences. And she reviews those cases and she brings it forward to whomever in hopes for their release. When he was in office the first time, he opened up a program that was called the second, what is it called? Don't quote me. Kind of like a second try. So people that he released and pardoned, he would wipe their slate clean. And a lot of them were black people. So that they had a second chance, a second opportunity not to have some stupid felony on some trumped up charges because they had crack the size of a quarter that they were using, not even selling, so that they can have a future and go get a job.
Well, Bill Clinton put that in the order. Like, so my whole thing is that those things are not lost on me.
Wait. Bill Clinton did the 3 strikes.
That's what I
Joe
was talking about.
Biden did
That's what I was talking
the
about.
crack.
That's what I was talking about. What I'm saying is that when we say racist, we're not just talking about black people, because black people say that, sometimes it's we're talking about other people of color too. Like the things that he said about Mexicans, and then he let that person say what they said about the Puerto Ricans and stuff like that. And then on top of that, he goes over to Puerto Rico and insults the freaking, I don't know if you call what you call her, the president or the whoever was of Puerto Rico. Like, you can't just go over there making those statements and disrespecting a whole people. You can't do that. So of course we're gonna say he's racist when you making those type of statements, and then you don't have any consequences for those individuals who disrespected a whole bunch of people who of another race. Like, what are you doing? If you say, well, I'm not condoning it, well, you're not condemning it either. So what do you expect people to think? Like, you like the things that have come out of his face and the things that he's allowed. Like, come on now, you call these people with the what you call these people over here in Charlottesville, Maryland. I mean Charlottesville, Virginia. They're sitting there basically having a Ku Klux Klan rally, and you call them very fine people.
No.
You call some of these people very fine people down there?
Nope. And you know what? When we get off the phone, I'm going to send you the clip, because that's not what he said. And this is the very hold on. Let me finish. This is the very reason whenever I see Trump said, Trump did, I'm like, fuck, let me go and watch, because let me see what he said, because I know that the media is going to twist what he said. Now, sometimes he said what the hell he said, and I'd be like, damn, Trump, you shouldn't have said that. But in that aspect, he said there were fine people on both sides. There were protesters, peaceful protesters, and they were fine people. In other words, there were peaceful protests, and there were fine people on both sides. They just have their difference of opinion. He said, now, the neo-Nazis and the white supremacists, I condemned them. He said that in the same thing, but what the media did is they took that I condemned the neo-Nazis and the white supremacists out, and all they showed us was they were fine people on both sides. And I watched it in completion, because whenever somebody says something that he says, I always go and look, because I know the media and I know they distort what he says. And you can look. Matter of fact, I'm going to find it and send it to you.
I've heard that before. But my thing is that whenever you're thinking, whenever you're listening to certain things, and you got a track record of saying really crass things, it's very easy to take that and go with it. Now,
okay, but here's the thing.
Hold on. So right now, I'm going to say, I could be wrong with what I said. Now I can admit that, but like I said, with the amount of things that stacked up, like this dude, you can't make an excuse for everything he said. Now that in particular, you got a point. But when it comes to a lot of the stuff he's already said, like, you can't make an excuse for why a person would say something like that to a body of people. Native Americans, Puerto Ricans, Mexicans. Like, dude, you can't do that.
But what I'm pointing out is that you have to be careful with the media.
No, I agree.
Because that would be no different than, so let's say when the BLM protests were going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I go out during the day, and there are fine people on both sides. There are white people that's protesting. There's black people that's protesting. It's peaceful. Everybody's just speaking their mind. They're coming together. And I could literally say there were fine people on both sides, right? Then fast forward to the evening when they started rioting Targets and breaking into small businesses, and Kyle Rittenhouse shooting folks. I could say I condemn them, because those aren't the fine people I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people that were protesting earlier.
Right.
That are fine people.
Right.
So again, I just made that as a point to
Mhm.
always just look into. Don't just go by headlines and clips off of social media.
I agree.
Always
I agree
look
with that.
into it
I agree.
because and unfortunately, like I said, Trump does say a lot of stupid shit. I am not saying that whatsoever. But a lot of times when he said that's like, for example, when when he was talking about Liz Cheney, how she's a warmonger and all she wants to do is sit in her comfy office and make a phone call and send 10,000 troops here and 10,000 troops there. And he simply said, and I went and watched the whole video. I hadn't watched it until I saw the headlines because I was like, oh my God, please tell me you didn't say this because this would be really stupid. And the headlines read, Trump wants to put Liz Cheney in front of a firing squad. And I'm like, oh, shit. Oh, let me go look this up. And that's not even what he said. What he said is she wouldn't be so comfortable making these phone calls, sending our fathers, sons, children, husbands, and uncles to war if she had 9 rifles aimed at her, which makes perfect sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
He never said put her in front of a firing squad, but the media took that and ran with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I do that for everybody. I don't care if it's Jasmine, Hakeem, Chuck Schumer, Trump, Elon. I do it for both sides, in fairness. But Trump, I will say, I'm gonna be fair. 60% of the time, they twist the hell out of his words. Because if they say something positive, it doesn't fit their narrative.
I'm not gonna say 60. Because that's high. Because he said a whole lot, and a lot of the stuff it's documented, and they replay what he said. I can't say 60 because that's a lot. Because he says a lot. He gets himself into his own mess. He really does.
This is one thing I'll add to that. And I think this was a major factor in it as well, as far as why Kamala lost and why Trump won. We know him. We know that what we see is what we get.
That's a fact. I swear that's a fact.
What we see is what we get. So like I said, do I like everything he says? Hell no. So I'd be like, oh God, what did you say now? Jesus Christ. Now I got to go look this up.
Mm-hmm.
But at the flip side, I can at least say, well, he says what he says, but at least I know who the hell he is. I know exactly who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, the man ain't said nothing that ain't who he is. And at least I know him. I know what I'm dealing with.
Right. That is true. That is a true statement. So
this wasn't so much about defending. It was more or less, pay attention. And that's on both sides. And that's for anybody listening. Pay attention. Don't just run with headlines because the media, they will twist their headlines to fit their narrative. Do your own research. I watch it. I look it up. I watch it and I say, okay, yep, he said that. That was really jacked up. He shouldn't have said that. Or I'd be like, yeah, no, he didn't say that.
Mm-hmm.
We have to do that.
Yeah.
We can't depend on the media. I guess that was my biggest point. Don't depend on the media because you'll be scrolling Facebook or TikTok and they'll clip out that little the part that they don't want you to hear and put the part in that they want you to hear. And then you're like, oh my God, he said this. And it's like, no, that's not really what he said, but okay.
I've noticed a lot of that because that's why I get really irritated when people they dismiss stuff and they just dismiss it and they didn't do their own due diligence and stuff like that. And like when we're talking about UFOs or moon landings or whatever, I'm like, you two, do you know that there's departments that's specifically there to put out enough reasonable doubt that gives anybody pause? That's their whole job. If when the truth is revealed, their department is to put reasonable doubt out there. and try to debunk what's being said, when clearly that might be a real video of whatever this is, or a real video of this. They'll put out some AI crap. They'll put out some CGI crap to make you believe, like, oh, that's not real. Oh man. And then now you don't know what to believe, right? So that's what their jobs is to do. But you can't sit there and dismiss everything thinking, none of this is real, because what's going to happen is we're not going to be prepared for anything. Just like when I believe a while back, I forgot who I was talking to about this. We were talking about Yellowstone exploding. Now, I don't know if you ever seen that movie 2012, but we was talking about the fact that Yellowstone is a super volcano that is overdue, and it is a game changer. It's a climate changer. That's how big this freaking volcano is. Excuse me, I didn't mean to disrespect you, Yellowstone. That's how big this super volcano is. But the government isn't preparing anybody for it. They ain't preparing nobody for nothing. So now, when this thing happens, not only is 500 square miles of people going to pretty much not exist anymore, including Las Vegas and several other places around there. Not only that, people are not going to know how to deal with the fallout. Crops going to be affected. Airplanes and flights are going to be affected. The dollar is going to tank. There's so much stuff that's going to happen. But do you think this government is being proactive at all? And the very first thing they'll say is, well, we don't want chaos. We don't want people panicking. First of all, people need to be preparing. But you're not telling people nothing. This is something in the United States. Don't you think you should arm the people with enough information to protect themselves and their family?
But that's what I'm saying. We have to arm ourselves. Like right now, I'm at the point where we have too much access to information to where we cannot figure these things out by ourselves. That's my thing.
It's overload.
Like I said, you got knowledge at your fingertips, literally. Now you have to know how to decipher what is truth, what is not truth. So you have to learn that part, because you're going to run across articles or videos that are not true. So you have to have the intelligence to be able to decipher on what is truth, what is logical, what is reasonable, and what can and cannot happen. But we don't even do that. We don't do it. Well, no, I do, but a lot of people don't. And going back to like your example of the moon landing and stuff like that, they tell us what they want us to hear. They publicize it. They make it this big spectacular thing, and they tell us what they want us to hear. And for so long, we've fallen for that. But again, we don't have an excuse anymore. We don't need a library card. Sorry, we don't need to walk to the library. We damn near every person on earth has this little cellular box in their hand that they can literally either Google or whatever app they may use and look things up and learn. That's my issue. And not for nothing, I'm gonna be careful with my words, but there's some folks that's been lying to us for a really long damn time.
You got that right. Yeah.
And as long as we continue to believe their lies, they continue to control our lives.
That's a fact.
So until we start waking up to their lies, they're gonna keep controlling them. And I'm sorry, that's why I live free. I'm free. I consider myself free, because I already know 99% of what y'all pushing, it ain't true. And I'm not falling for it no more. I used to fall for it, but I don't fall for it no more. And I just think that we as a people, it's amazing to me. We have 8 billion people on Earth? 8 billion. And they're ran by like 100 families. 8 billion people. We're the majority, but we are the minority. And that doesn't matter race. I'm not talking about like race.
No, no,
Just
no.
like
I know what you mean.
human species.
Yeah,
We are
I
the
know what you mean.
minority. And once we wake up out of this being the minority and actually understanding that we are the majority, the world will literally flip and be a better place to be. And like I said earlier, it ain't even about me. I'm 47. Now, maybe I hope, God willing, I got another 40, 50 years of me left. But it ain't even about me. It's about my children and my grandchildren. I want to leave the world a better place than I found it.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever's gonna do that, hey, they got my support. I ain't got to like you, but if you're gonna do it, you're gonna make it better. All right, let me see what you got.
Yeah, I'm all for betterment. I'm all for betterment, and I don't care who facilitates the betterment, but my thing is people need to be more vigilant, and pay attention to what's going on because anytime something crazy happens, I'm always looking in the opposite direction. Simply because I already know that's likely a distraction. So I'm just like, okay, what is Congress doing over here? What is the Senate deciding upon? What bills is being passed while this over here is going on? Like that's just the way I think. I think that way because I'm always it went into overdrive when 9/11 happened because I'm sitting here listening to what the news is saying, looking at what reality is saying, the actual on the ground videos is saying. Then I'm listening to the BBC saying like they're telling, like I don't know, were you on the I don't think you were you on the back chat? No, you weren't. I'm looking at BBC tell people or say that building number Trade Center 7 has fallen. And we're looking into this. Maybe it's the fires from the towers that caused this building to. And right behind the lady is Tower 7. It hadn't fallen yet. So I'm sitting like, hold up. And I'm telling you, my mind was in overdrive back in 2001, 2002, 2003. And like the more I went in and dug, the more I found out. And the thing is that that's when a lot of stuff started to just kind of drip out. And I started to just, because once I found out one thing, another thing popped up, and the pieces started to come together. And unless a person could tell me and show me what I've seen, what I've pieced together, based off of the facts, based off of the actual videos, based off of everything, the everything that I've seen. Once you can sit there and tell me what I'm wrong, you prove to me that's wrong. Physics, oh, never mind physics. I'm like, dude, physics don't lie. Like, look at this. And then you're sitting here trying to argue that these obscure people from somewhere infiltrated our airspace, crippled our technology and our defense system in the United States, in some of the most protected airspace in the nation, probably in the world. And you trying to tell me that these obscure people had box cutters? You trying to tell me that a non-burnt up passport just showed up and now you got somebody to point the finger? Like, there was so much stuff that did not match and fit. That's why when I went over to the newly constructed and built Ground Zero, I was not impressed. I was not moved. I was pissed. I was literally pissed.
Well, it also doesn't help that I think they were right before it happened. There was some insurance stuff moved around.
Yep.
And then there was like $2 trillion missing that nobody could find. Yeah.
There was a lot. There was a lot. There was records that was destroyed in just that section of the Pentagon where those financial documentations would be. And nobody in that whole section was at work.
Not one.
So you telling me all this stuff is coincidental? Bull. I call bull. And it was just, for me, when it came to finding out stuff like that, realizing stuff like that, it frustrated me. It pissed me off because it was almost like a slap in the face of the American people. It was just like you're lying, you bold faced lying to us,
Mm-hmm.
and
And
you
not only
continuously do it.
well, and not only that, it goes to show the corruption of the wealthy and the powerful.
Yeah,
And that they would literally sacrifice your firstborn,
yeah, yeah,
you and
yeah.
everybody else, to
Mm-hmm.
remain in power and to remain in wealth.
Mm-hmm.
So 9/11 was one for me. Moon landing, when I first saw it, like as an adult, I was like, I can't even believe I believe this shit. Like, I felt so stupid. I was like, really, y'all, this is what y'all did? Okay. You know, but like you said, little things, well, not little things, because those are big things, supposedly. But those things, once you start to debunk those things, now you're like, well, what the hell else you lying about?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
What else you not telling me? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
no, this don't make no sense, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And we just, as a people, we really do need to. I ain't telling you you got to be. Well, I don't like the word woke. I like the word awaken.
Yeah, yeah,
We need to awaken to what our government shows us, because unfortunately, a lot of it's not true. A lot of it's not true.
yeah. And what do you? Okay, now I got a question for you. What do you think about all of the changes that they're making by taking out first black blah blah blah, or taking out certain black accomplishment out of certain things and stuff like that, because that's what they're systematically doing, is erasing a lot of black history and stuff like that.
So I have two opinions on that.
Uh-huh.
My first one is I would say leave it alone. It's not hurting anybody. If the first black person to fly an airplane and die in war and you acknowledge that person is black, what difference does it make? But on the other hand, and this is me understanding this administration, or at least what they think in their mentality, because I always put
Mm-hmm.
myself in other people's shoes. So when they want to talk about, you know, we're all Americans, we're all this, and you know, the hell with DEI and all these other things. So if I had to look at it from a standpoint from what they think or how they're moving, I would say that they're doing it because it shouldn't matter if a person is black, white, Spanish, whatever. We're all Americans. If you died in war for this country, we're going to honor you. But it's not necessary. It's not necessary for me to say the first black or the first this. And I had this conversation with Billy. The first this that actually kind of irritates me, and I'm going to tell you why. Not because I don't want people to get their accolades for their accomplishments, but it's almost like how can I put it? I want to be correct here. It's almost like we're looked down upon so much as a black nation that we have to say, oh, it's the first black. And just like there was, okay, I'll give you a good example. There was a African doctor. Granted, it was African, but still a black man, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he is the first doctor ever to operate on a woman. And what he had to do is he had to remove the feet. She was pregnant. So he had to remove, I guess he couldn't do the operation with the fetus in her body, well, with the baby. So he removed the baby from her body, did the operation, and successfully placed the child back in the body. And the headline said, the first black African man to do blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, we didn't really need the first black. You could have just said first man or Dr. such and such. I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense. I mean, it's not a
I get. No,
it's
I
not a
get what.
big deal that you
Mhm.
say it, but then at the other hand, it's like, why did we even really need to say that part?
I get what you're saying because that's kind of how I felt. When I feel like when gay people they go in there and like with the NFL draft when Michael Sam came out as gay before he was went into the draft. I'm like, okay, you're a linebacker. Can you do your job? I don't need to know that you gay. That's not something I need to know. That's irrelevant. When I watch football, I'm watching football. I'm not watching to see who the first gay football player because you're not the first gay football player. You just happen to come out before the draft, and now all of the attention is focused on that. So I get where you're coming from. My only thing is that when it comes to that, your accomplishments should supersede your race. I agree with you. My thing is that like that's just like uh I was in a discussion where a white person brought up, how would you feel if we had White History Month? I'm like, you're an idiot. First of all, the fact that Black history is American history and it was relegated to the shortest freaking month in the freaking calendar, that's one thing. But it was necessary to do something to highlight the accomplishments of various Black people. Now, unfortunately, only a portion gets always highlighted. However, it's on us to make sure Black history is American history every single month of the year. You know what I'm saying? So when it came to that, we didn't have a voice. We didn't have white folks stole inventions, they stole innovations, they stole a whole lot that we didn't get credit for. So when we do now have a voice or have some way of being acknowledged or recognized for the accomplishments we've made as Black people, that's the reason why they highlight the first Black this or the first Black that, because otherwise it would have been swept under the rug or it would have been acknowledged by somebody else. It would have been stolen. Somebody else would have took credit for it. So I get why they do it. I do. And in those cases that you spoke of, I understand what you're saying because it should just be the accomplishment itself. Mr. James Harwell, whatever his name is, and he accomplished this surgery. Is extremely difficult. Blah blah blah. He did this surgery successfully. And it just should be talking about the man or the woman who successfully accomplished this. But I think it's very, very important to Black people to see themselves in the best light, because that's the reason why the Cosby Show was so important, because it wasn't that they were the first couple that one was a doctor and one was whatever Claire was. It was the fact that we could see ourselves in highly accomplished people. And that's why they do that. They say, okay, because when you see little black kids in the ghetto or wherever they are in urban settings and stuff like that, you don't see much positivity. So when you say the first Black woman to do XYZ, to come up with a cure for cancer and blah, 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 using different things or whatever the case is, now this little girl over here can feel inspired to do the same because she sees someone that looks like her accomplish something that nobody ever thought that they could do.
No, and
So,
I do get that. I really do, and I'm not disagreeing with you. I
right.
just look at it from both
I
viewpoints.
understand. I
Yeah.
understand.
So, like for example, when I was in the military, we always had a battle buddy. Sometimes they were Hispanic, sometimes they were white, sometimes they were Black. So now,
Right.
let's say we go to war together, and let's say both of us die for our country.
Mhm.
Let's say I'm a female and my battle buddy I'm a biracial female and my battle buddy is a Black male. We'll just use that to be
Mhm.
easy. And I wouldn't want to be the first biracial woman to die on the battlefield saving her battle buddy James Harville. You know what I mean? I would just be okay with Jessica Fields. She served this country proudly. She's an American.
I
She was
agree.
there
I
for her
agree.
battle buddy. So,
Right.
like I said, that's why it's kind of tough. I get what you're saying because we do need the representation for our young people. so that they
Mhm.
can look up and say, hey, okay, well, if this person can do this and that person looks like me, then I can do that. So I get that
Mhm.
part too. So like I said, I kind of see it from both angles.
Right, right.
And I think with this administration, um, it, I personally, this is me personally, I don't think it's so much about erasing what Black people did, because there was, matter of fact, when he had the Black Month, Black History Month thing at the Oval Office, he flat out said, he said, you know what, African Americans built this nation. He literally said that out of his face. And
I saw that.
yeah, you don't get the credit you deserve. You're starting to get it, but you never really got the credit you deserve. Yada 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 yada. But I think he's more or less trying to unify it. And I'm going on a limb here because I'm not saying that this is true and this is what he's doing. This is just what I think. And trying to unify us more as Americans versus racists.
Hmm.
I can be wrong. I'm not saying that I'm right here. But that's what I kind of get when it comes to that.
Hmm.
Because even I was, when I first saw it, and I'm like, I researched and I'm like, damn it, Trump, what are you doing, dude? I be trying to defend you sometimes. And if you do stuff like this, I can't defend you. So I went and started reading. And that seems to be, I'm going to say seems to be his angle, that I want us all to be Americans. I don't want to divide us with race or culture and things like that. I just want, if you're an American citizen and you're in this nation, we are Americans. This is our nation. So again, I could be wrong. But again, that's I did at least come from both angles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, I agree with you trying to see both perspectives of the spectrum. And that's the way you're supposed to look at things and try to see, unless it's just so absurd you can't. But uh, but uh, but yeah, I absolutely understand. And stuff like that. But again, these are some of the things that's going on in our nation, and with these trends and stuff like that. What's going on, and stuff. And some things we just really can't explain. Some things we just, we sit there and like, this can't be life. This right here can't be life. But to me, when there is no governing within individuals, within families, because there's a lot of reasons why certain things happen, and some things you can't explain. They ain't got no logical reason. Like I said, like we were talking about earlier with people hurting kids and stuff like that. There's no explanation for that. Really, there's really no explanation as an adult. And I understand what Morphine was saying about, when people normalize certain types of behaviors that's also actually toxic behavior. They normalize it and they don't see that it's wrong, that it's hurting somebody else. I get it. I get that. But we have to also make sure we're paying attention to people. And it goes all the way back to mental health, checking on people, just checking on people. Don't ask them for nothing other than how are you doing? You okay? Are you really okay? When people say I'm good, sometimes they're not good. Like, tell them, like, listen, I'm serious. I'm not just asking just to be asking. Are you okay? Is everything okay? Because even if I can't do anything, I can be here as a listening ear for you or help you put things in perspective. Like, we have to make sure we start really paying attention to our children, paying attention to our loved ones, paying attention to those who you care about. And just really, really being observant and aware of your surroundings and stuff like that, because this world is becoming stranger than fiction. And it has been for a while now. And we have to really, really suspend our disbelief sometimes and actually look at what the reality is in front of us, so that we can, put things in perspective and adjust. And instead of being reactive all the time, we need to start being more proactive, so that we can secure our families, secure our own selves, secure our health. Because I'm going to tell you right now, this world makes a whole lot of things convenient, a whole lot of things convenient, and a lot of it is not good for our health. So you know, with that being said, I'm gonna chill and whatnot. I'm gonna let Jessica speak her piece so we can close for the night.
All right. So I guess the biggest takeaway and message that I can give right now is this, and I'm being very sincere about this. The world is going crazy. We can all see it, and we might not understand every nook and cranny of what is going on in the world.
Mm-hmm.
However, what we can do, like you just said, be proactive, put one foot in front of the other, like we've been doing. Go to work, love on your kids, bake some cookies, go to the movies, do some things with your family and your loved ones, check on them. Because a lot of the things that are going on in the world, we cannot control. That's just truth. But always keep your ears and your eyes open. Stay vigilant when you're out and about in public. Pay attention. When you get in your car, lock your door. If you see some crazy stuff going on, walk the hell away. Because unfortunately, right now, we are in a world where things are unhinged and unpredictable. And I don't want to see nobody get caught up in the crossfire. I'll say another thing. Keep y'all black asses home. Like all these protests and stuff. Do not go out there.
Yeah.
It's not your business. It's not your
Yeah.
business. Do not take y'all. I'm going to say it one more time. Keep y'all black asses home. And I mean it exactly how I said it. Okay? Don't go out there with them folks. Because as soon as you do, it's going to be problems. I guarantee you. Don't let the media try to race bait you into going out there and protesting and being. How you gonna mute me?
I didn't realize I did that to yourself, to you. I thought I did that to me.
No, you should do it to you. No, but seriously, everybody, don't panic. A lot of people are panicking right now. Just live your life. How you been living? Go to work, take care of your children, take care of your spouses, be with your family, put one foot in front of the other, and mind your black ass business and stay at home. And that's really the biggest message that I have from the entire conversation.
Right.
The only time I don't say mind your black ass business is if you know somebody's hurting a kid. No, you help that kid. And that's
Right.
going to the beginning of the segment.
Right.
No, you don't mind your business with that. No, you stand up for that
Not
child.
at all. That's right.
Not at all. But other than that, when it comes to like the politics and everything that's going on, whether you like Trump, hate Trump, voted for Kamala, didn't vote, that does not even matter. This world, I'm gonna say this, and Dedrick's gonna understand. I don't know if anybody else will. This earth is shifting.
Yeah.
It's shifting this earth.
Absolutely.
And what you shift to is all dependent on what you adhere to, what you pay attention to. And if you get all up in arms and you're so hyper focused on everything that's going on around you, you're going to end up on the wrong earth. Now, when I say earth, that doesn't mean like you're going to a different planet or nothing like that. But just relax because the earth is shifting. There's a reset going on. We don't know what it's going to be. It could be good. It could be bad. I'm not one to say I know the future. It could be either. But again, that goes back to Dedrick's point. Be proactive. Keep doing what you're doing. Don't let all this stuff get you riled up and get you in a place that you don't need to be. Be at peace with yourself. Be at peace with family. And just keep doing what you're doing. Because all this other stuff, it's going to blow away. And that's my take for the night.
That's right. And thank you guys. And lastly, but not least, please go to IG and find me at Mr. Craves Cookies. This has been sponsored by Mr. Craves Cookies and Meet the World Image Solutions. Please go to www.mtw imagesolutions.com for all your literary needs. If you want to have some awesome authors merch and different things like that, please go there, pick up you some merch, because it's amazing. There's a lot of incredible stuff on there that you can take advantage of. If you're an up and coming author and need editing services, you need a course on how to get your book out. All that stuff is on that page, guys, on that website. And you will not be sorry for visiting there and whatnot, guys. So go and check it out. And also, like I said, if you want some homemade gourmet cookies that you cannot find in the store, I'm gonna tell you right now, it'll make your mouth happy. My motto is Mr. Craves Cookies. It's a party in your mouth. So if you want to make your mouth happy, go throw yourself a party. I do ship nationwide, so there's no excuse. Well, I'm in Texas. Okay, well, if you're in Texas, you can get some cookies in Texas. All right. So go to IG at Mr. Craves Cookies. It's MrCraves Cookies. All right, there on Instagram. That website will be finished soon. I promise you. I'm working on some things, and it's going to be an ecosystem so that you guys can get a subscription service, your birthday club, loyalty and rewards program, and all that good stuff. So, guys, it's got a lot going to be coming down the pipeline, including my all new cookie truck. That's right, I said it. Anyway, so thank you guys for tuning in, and we're going to be back right here at 8:30 on next Thursday. On behalf of myself and Mrs. Fields, thank you guys so much for tuning in to Soul Flow Conversations. We will be
Woo!
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Okay.